Hare Krishna. So today, on this auspicious day of Shri Advaitacharya Appearance Day, this is 16th February 2024. So from today onwards, as the time permits, we will read Shrimad Bhagavatam canto by canto. So we will begin today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatiruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान् सहगणा ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च नमा ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नाम्ने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरद्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। So I will share my screen. We'll begin from first page itself. Dedication. Srila Prabhupada is writing. Dedication to Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, my spiritual master. On the 26th annual ceremony of his disappearance day, he lives forever by his divine instructions, and the follower lives with him. Next, preface we will read now. We must know the present need of human society. And what is that need? Human society is no longer bounded by geographical limits to particular countries or communities. Human society is broader than in the Middle Ages, and the world tendency is toward one state or one human society. The ideals of spiritual communism, according to Shrimad Bhagavatam, are based more or less on the oneness of the entire human society, nay, of the entire energy of living beings. The need is felt by great thinkers to make this a successful ideology. Shrimad Bhagavatam will fill this need in human society. It begins, therefore, with an aphorism of Vedanta philosophy, Janmadi Asyata, to establish the ideal of a common cause. Human society at the present moment is not in the darkness of oblivion. It has made rapid progress in the fields of material comforts, education, and economic development throughout the entire world. But there is a pinprick somewhere in the social body at large, and therefore there are large-scale quarrels, even over less important issues. There is need of a clue as to how humanity can become one in peace, friendship, and prosperity with a common cause. Shrimad Bhagavatam will fill this need, for it is a cultural presentation for the re-spiritualization of the entire human society. Shrimad Bhagavatam should be introduced also in the schools and colleges, for it is recommended by the great student devotee Prahlad Maharaj in order to change the demoniac face of society. Kaumar acharet pragyo dharmam bhagavatan iha durlabham manusham janma tad api adruvam arthadam. Shrimad Bhagavatam 7.6.1. Disparity in human society is due to lack of principles in a godless civilization. There is God, or the Almighty One, from whom everything emanates, by whom everything is maintained, and in whom everything is merged to rest. Material science has tried to find the ultimate source of creation very insufficiently, but it is a fact that there is one ultimate source of everything that be. This ultimate source is explained rationally and authoritatively in the beautiful Bhagavatam and Shrimad Bhagavatam. Shrimad Bhagavatam is the transcendental science not only for knowing the ultimate source of everything, but also for knowing our relation with Him and our duty toward perfection of the human society on the basis of this perfect knowledge. It is powerful reading matter in the Sanskrit language, and it is now rendered into English elaborately, so that simply by a careful reading one will know God perfectly well. So much so that the reader will be sufficiently educated to defend himself from the onslaught of atheists. Over and above this, the reader will be able to convert others to accepting God as a concrete principle. Shrimad Bhagavatam begins with the definition of the ultimate source. It is a bona fide commentary on the Vedanta Sutra by the same author, Srila Vyasadeva, and gradually it develops into 9 cantos up to the highest state of God realization. The only qualification one needs to study this great book of transcendental knowledge is to proceed step by step cautiously and not jump forward haphazardly as with an ordinary book. It should be gone through chapter by chapter, one after another. The reading matter is so arranged with the original Sanskrit text, its English transliteration, synonyms, translation, and purports, so that one is sure to become a God-realized soul at the end of finishing the first 9 cantos. The 10th canto is distinct from the first 9 cantos because it deals directly with the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead Shri Krishna. One will be unable to capture the effects of the 10th canto without going through the first 9 cantos. The book is complete in 12 cantos, each independent, but it is good for all to read them in small installments, one after another. I must admit my frailties in presenting Shrimad Bhagavatam, but still I am hopeful of its good reception by the thinkers and leaders of society on the strength of the following statement of Shrimad Bhagavatam 1.5.11. Tadva gavisargo janata gavipalva yasmin pratishlokam abadhavati api namani anantasya yashonkitani yaj Shrinvanti gayanti grinanti sadhava. On the other hand, that literature, which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, form, and pastimes of the unlimited Supreme Lord, is a transcendental creation meant for bringing about a revolution in the impious life of a misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literature, even though irregularly composed, is heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. Om Tat Sat. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Next, we will go to the introduction part now. We will read this. The conception of God and the conception of absolute truth are not on the same level. The Srimad Bhagavatam hits on the target of the absolute truth. The conception of God indicates the controller, whereas the conception of the absolute truth indicates the summum bonum, or the ultimate source of all energies. There is no difference of opinion about the personal feature of God as the controller, because a controller cannot be impersonal. Of course, modern government, especially democratic government, is impersonal to some extent, but ultimately the chief executive head is a person, and the impersonal feature of government is subordinate to the personal feature. So without a doubt, whenever we refer to control over others, we must admit the existence of a personal feature, because there are different controllers for different managerial positions. There may be many small gods. According to the Bhagavad Gita, any controller who has some specific extraordinary power is called a Vibhutimat Sattva, or controller empowered by the Lord. There are many Vibhutimat Sattvas, controllers or gods with various specific powers, but the absolute truth is one without a second. The Shrimad Bhagavatam designates the absolute truth or the Samambonam as the Param Satyam. The author of Shrimad Bhagavatam, Shri Vyasadeva, first offers his respectful obeisances unto the Param Satyam, absolute truth. And because the Param Satyam is the ultimate source of all energies, the Param Satyam is the supreme person. The gods or the controllers are undoubtedly persons, but the Param Satyam from whom the gods derive powers of control is the supreme person. The Sanskrit word Ishvara, controller, conveys the import of God, but the supreme person is called the Parameshwara or the supreme Ishvara. The supreme person or Parameshwar is the supreme conscious personality, and because he does not derive any power from any other source, he is supremely independent. In the Vedic literatures, Brahma is described as the supreme god or the head of all other gods like Indra, Chandra, and Varuna. But the Shrimad Bhagavatam confirms that even Brahma is not independent as far as his power and knowledge are concerned. He received knowledge in the form of Vedas from the Supreme Person who resides within the heart of every living being. That Supreme Personality knows everything directly and indirectly. Individual infinitesimal persons who are parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality may know directly and indirectly everything about their bodies or external features, but the Supreme Personality knows everything about both his external and internal features. The words Janmadi Asya suggest that the source of all production, maintenance, and destruction is the same Supreme Conscious Person. Even in our present experience, we can know that nothing is generated from inert matter, but inert matter can be generated from the living entity. For instance, by contact with the living entity, the material body develops into a working machine. Men with a poor fund of knowledge mistake the bodily machinery to be the living being, but the fact is that the living being is the basis of the bodily machine. The bodily machine is useless as soon as the living spark is away from it. Similarly, the original source of all material energy is the Supreme Person. This fact is expressed in all the Vedic literatures, and all the exponents of spiritual science have accepted this truth. The living force is called Brahman. And one of the greatest Acharya's teachers, namely Shrimad Shankaracharya, has preached that Brahman is substance, whereas the cosmic world is category. The original source of all energies is the living force, and he is logically accepted as the Supreme Person. He is therefore conscious of everything past, present, and future, and also of each and every corner of his manifestations, both material and spiritual. An imperfect living being does not even know what is happening within his own personal body. He eats his food but does not know how this food is transformed into energy or how it sustains his body. When a living being is perfect, he is aware of everything that happens, and since the Supreme Person is all perfect, it is quite natural that he knows everything in all detail. Consequently, the perfect personality is addressed in the Shrimad Bhagavatam as Vasudeva, or one who lives everywhere in full consciousness and in full possession of his complete energy. All of this is clearly explained in the Shrimad Bhagavatam, and the reader has ample opportunity to study this critically. In the modern age, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached the Shrimad Bhagavatam by practical demonstration. It is easier to penetrate into the topics of the Shrimad Bhagavatam through the medium of Sri Chaitanya's causeless mercy. Therefore, a short sketch of his life and precepts is inserted herein to help the reader understand the real merit of Shrimad Bhagavatam. It is imperative that one learn the Shrimad Bhagavatam from the person Bhagavatam. The person Bhagavatam is one whose very life is Shrimad Bhagavatam in practice. Since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the absolute personality of Godhead, he is both Bhagwan and Bhagavatam in person and in sound. Therefore, his process of approaching the Srimad Bhagavatam is practical for all people of the world. It was his wish that the Srimad Bhagavatam be preached in every nook and corner of the world by those who happen to take their birth in India. The Shrimad Bhagavatam is the science of Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, of whom we have preliminary information from the text of the Bhagavad Gita. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that anyone, regardless of what he is, who is well versed in the science of Krishna, Shrimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, can become an authorized preacher or preceptor in the science of Krishna. There is a need for the science of Krishna in human society for the good of all suffering humanity of the world. And we simply request the leaders of all nations to pick up this science of Krishna for their own good, for the good of society, and for the good of all the world's people. So now we will read a short sketch of the life and teachings of Lord Chaitanya, the preacher of Shrimad Bhagavatam. We'll go ahead. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the great apostle of love of God and the father of the congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord, advented himself at Shridham Mayapur, a quarter in the city of Navadip in Bengal, on the Phalguni Purnima evening in the year 1407 Shakabdar, corresponding to February 1486 by the Christian calendar. His father, Sri Jagannath Mishra, a learned Brahmana from the district of Sylhet, came to Navadip as a student because at that time Navadip was considered to be the center of education and culture. He domiciled on the banks of the Ganges after marrying Srimati Sachidevi, a daughter of Srila Nilambar Chakravarti, the great learned scholar of Navadip. Jagannath Mishra had a number of daughters by his wife Srimati Sachidevi, and most of them expired at an early age. Two surviving sons, Shri Vishwarup and Vishwambhara, became at last the object of their parental affection. The 10th and youngest son, who was named Vishwambhara, sorry, Okay, so sorry for the disturbance. Yeah, we will read from Jagannath Mishra. Had a number of daughters by his wife, Srimati Sachidevi, and most of them expired at an early age. Two surviving sons, Shri Vishwarup and Vishwambar, became at last the object of their parental affection. The 10th and youngest son, who was named Vishwambar, later became known as Nimai Pandit, and then, after accepting the renounced order of life, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his transcendental activities for 48 years and then disappeared from this model world in the year 1455 Shakabd at Puri. For his first 24 years, he remained at Navadip as a student and householder. His first wife was Srimati Lakshmi Priya, who died at an early age when the Lord was away from home. When he returned from East Bengal, he was requested by his mother to accept a second wife, and he agreed. His second wife was Srimati Vishnu Priya Devi, who bore the separation of the Lord throughout her life because the Lord took the order of sannyasa at the age of 24 when Srimati Vishnupriya was barely 16 years old. After taking sannyas, the Lord made his headquarters at Jagannath Puri due to the request of his mother Srimati Sachidevi. The Lord remained for 24 years at Puri. For 6 years of this time, he traveled continuously all over India and especially throughout southern India. Wait a minute, please. Sorry. Yes. We will read from after taking sannyasa, the Lord made his headquarters at Jagannath Puri due to the request of his mother Srimati Sachi Devi. The Lord remained for 24 years at Puri. For 6 years of this time, he traveled continuously all over India and especially throughout southern India preaching the Shrimad Bhagavatam. Lord Chaitanya not only preached the Shrimad Bhagavatam but propagated the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita as well in the most practical way. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Shri Krishna is depicted as the absolute personality of Godhead, and his last teachings in that great book of transcendental knowledge instruct that one should give up all the modes of religious activities and accept him, Lord Shri Krishna, as the only worshipable Lord. The Lord then assured that all his devotees would be protected from all sorts of sinful acts and that from them there would be no cause for anxiety. Unfortunately, despite Lord Sri Krishna's direct order and the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, less intelligent people misunderstand him to be nothing but a great historical personality, and thus they cannot accept him as the original personality of Godhead. Such men with a poor fund of knowledge are misled by many non-devotees. Thus, the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita were misinterpreted even by great scholars after the disappearance of Lord Sri Krishna. There were hundreds of commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita by many erudite scholars, and almost every one of them was motivated by self-interest. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the self-same Lord Sri Krishna. This time, however, he appeared as a great devotee of the Lord in order to preach to the people in general, as well as to religionists and philosophers about the transcendental position of Shri Krishna, the primeval Lord, and the cause of all causes. The essence of his preaching is that Lord Shri Krishna, who appeared at Brajabhumi Vrindavan as the son of the king of Vraja, Nanda Maharaj, is the supreme personality of Godhead and is therefore worshipable by all. Vrindavan Dham is non-different from the Lord because the name, fame, form, and place where the Lord manifests himself are all identical with the Lord as absolute knowledge. Therefore, Vrindavan Dham is as worshipable as the Lord. The highest form of transcendental worship of the Lord was exhibited by the damsels of Rajabhumi in the form of pure affection for the Lord, and Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends this process as the most excellent mode of worship. He accepts the Shrimad Bhagavad Purana as the spotless literature for understanding the Lord, and he preaches that the ultimate goal of life for all human beings is to attain this stage of prema or love of God. Many devotees of Lord Chaitanya, like Srila Vishwanath, Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur, Shri Lochan Das Thakur, Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Shri Kavi Karnapura, Shri Prabodhananda Saraswati, Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Sanatan Goswami, Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami, and this latter age, in this latter age, within 200 years, Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan, Sri Shyamasundar Goswami, Sri Narottam Das Thakur, Sri Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and at last Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, our spiritual master, and many other great and renowned scholars and devotees of the Lord have prepared voluminous books and literatures on the life and precepts of the Lord. Such literatures are all based on the Shastras like the Vedas, Puranas, Upanishads, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and other histories and authentic literatures approved by the recognized acharyas. They are unique in composition and unrivaled in presentation, and they are full of transcendental knowledge. Unfortunately, the people of the world are still ignorant of them. But when these literatures, which are mostly in Sanskrit and Bengali, come to light the world, and when they are presented before thinking people, then India's glory and the message of love will overflood this morbid world, which is vainly searching after peace and prosperity by various illusory methods not approved by the acharyas in the chain of disciplic succession. The readers of this small description of the life and precept of Lord Chaitanya will profit much to go through the books of Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur, Shri Chaitanya Bhagavat, and Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita. The early life of the Lord is most fascinatingly expressed by the author of Chaitanya Bhagavat, and as far as the teachings are concerned, they are more vividly explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now they are available to the English-speaking public in our teachings of Lord Chaitanya. The Lord's early life was recorded by one of his chief devotees and contemporaries, namely Srila Murari Gupta, a medical practitioner of that time, and the latter part of the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was recorded by his private secretary Sri Damodar Goswami, or Srila Swarup Damodar, who was practically a constant companion of the Lord at Puri. These two devotees recorded practically all the incidents of the Lord's activities, and later on all the books dealing with the Lord, which are above mentioned, were composed on the basis of Kadachas notebooks by Shri Damodar Goswami and Murari Gupta. Okay, so we will conclude here and continue in the next lecture, reading from So the Lord Advented Himself. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, all the listeners.